God-level duplication system. Chapter 87. Use your ability. They can't even handle the aftermath. Was this the strength of the inner sex elites? All the disciples were shocked. After seeing the attack, both of them retreated. They each retreated 7 to 8 meters before stopping. At this moment, both of them were evenly matched. The crowd instantly went into an uproar. All the disciples were shocked. Only now did they confirm that Lin Xuan really had the strength of a condensation spin stage. Furthermore, Chen Xiao wasn't an ordinary condensation spin stage. He was a condensation spin stage level 3 and an elite of the inner sect. He had the record of not being at a disadvantage when fighting a condensation spin stage 4th layer. But even so, when Lin Xuan and Chen Xiao confronted each other, they didn't seem to be at a disadvantage. This really shocked all the disciples. Only now did they remember why Lin Xuan had set up such a bet. It turned out that Lin Xuan really had sufficient strength. They didn't have enough experience, and they actually used this as a way to mock and ridicule Lin Xuan. They couldn't help but feel ashamed in their hearts, and they lowered their heads. But they couldn't be blamed for this. Because in the entire Drifting Cloud sect, there had never been such a precedent. Thinking of this, the disciples were even more shocked. This time, Lin Xuan had once again created a new record. On the arena, Chen Xiao's expression turned serious. Although this punch was just a test, it also unleashed the strength of a condensation spin stage. Even a condensation spin stage 2 player might not be able to withstand his attack. Lin Xuan, on the other hand, had received his attack. More importantly, Lin Xuan's cultivation base was only at Qi transformation stage level 4. He had just barely stepped into the Qi transformation stage middle stage. He already had such strength. This really shocked everyone. He knew why Lin Xuan had such a reputation. He was known as the top genius of the sect, and even Xu Anlin had taken the initiative to testify for Lin Xuan. His combat strength had already explained everything. He couldn't help but be shocked by Lin Xuan's talent. However, now wasn't the time for him to consider all of them. This competition was his challenge. He was an elite of the inner sect. He challenged a new disciple who had only been in the inner sect for 3 days. He couldn't lose this battle. Even though Lin Xuan's talent was outstanding, he was still a realm higher than Lin Xuan. If he was defeated, he might end up in a miserable state. Therefore, even if he used all of his strength, he still had to win. After that, Chen Xiao's expression turned serious. He looked at Lin Xuan and said coldly, "Lin Xuan, your talent is very high and your strength is very strong." I couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. "But you are still a new disciple. So, I can't lose to you. Next, I won't hold back anymore." As he spoke, he stretched out his hand and made a grabbing motion. A slender, treasured saber appeared in his hand. "All right." Lin Xuan nodded his head. He took out a sword. A serious expression appeared on his face. Chen Xiao was indeed an elite of the inner sect. He was much stronger than Chen Anlin. He needed to unleash some of his true strength in order to win. Seeing this, everyone's spirits were lifted. Was his previous attack just a test? This time, was he going to be serious? The power of that attack was so astonishing. If they really fought, how intense and wonderful would it be? Everyone was looking forward to it even more. At the same time, they simultaneously backed up again and again. The aftershock from before had almost caused them to suffer internal injuries. If they were to explode once again, they might suffer serious injuries from the aftershock. They did not want to be injured from watching the battle. It was better for them to watch from afar. They retreated to the edge of the square before stopping. The center was empty. Even Chen Anlin, Zhou's, and the other Qi transformation stage peak dared not approach. The only ones left were the few late condensation spin stage deacons in charge of recording. A strange scene was formed. The two people on the stage didn't pay attention to these things. As Lin Xuan finished speaking, Chen Xiao's qi changed into an incomparably sharp light and dispersed. This was the embryonic form of the saber intent. Although it was the same as Chen Anlin, it was also the embryonic form of the saber intent. However, he was a condensation spin stage level 3, a big realm higher than Chen Anlin, a small realm of level 3. In addition, the level of his martial arts was also much higher than Chen Anlan's. This power was naturally not something Chen Anlan could compare with. In fact, the power that Chen Anlan displayed was not even comparable to his. At the same time, the power of a condensation spin stage at level 3 erupted. The terrifying power swept up layers of chi waves in all directions, causing people to tremble. After that, Chen Xiao attacked. Sky filled flame. He shouted coldly and slashed out with his blade. The force of the blade changed into a 30-meter-long flaming blade light that swept towards Lin Xuan. Scorching hot air waves spread in all directions, causing the temperature of the entire square to rise dramatically. It was as if he had arrived in a sea of fire. With the help of the saber-intent embryonic form, his power had increased several times. Faint ripples appeared in the void as if they couldn't bear it and were distorted. This power was so strong that it was terrifying. Its speed wasn't any slower. In less than a blink of an eye, it arrived above Lin Xuan's head. Lin Xuan's expression also sank. He didn't expect Chen Xiao to use the concept in the second move without following the usual pattern. Furthermore, he had used the embryonic form of the saber intent. When Chen Xiao used it, it was more than 10 times stronger than Chen Anlan's. As expected, the higher one's cultivation base was, the greater the power of the concept. Lin Xuan sighed in his heart. This time, he had to expose himself even more. Immediately, a piercing light radiated from Lin Xuan's body and shot into the sky. Wherever this light passed, the air instantly shattered. The white clouds in the sky were also instantly cut into countless pieces by the invisible force and dissipated. Even the terrifying flame blade light seemed to have been grabbed by a large hand of void. Its speed suddenly stopped. Its power had also been greatly reduced. The surrounding disciples felt even more intense. They could only feel a bone-piercing cold and pain in their skin. Their vision suddenly became pitch black as if they had gone blind. They hurriedly turned their heads away, and only then did they regain some of their vision. The shock in their hearts increased several times. They didn't expect Lin Xuan to be able to unleash his power. What kind of martial art was this? They had all arrived at the border of the gambling arena and were now several hundred meters away from the arena. However, they couldn't even watch from afar. This was too shocking. The few late condensation spin stage deacons around the arena also felt their vision blur. They hurriedly circulated the true chi, and only then did they recover. Looking at Lin Xuan in the arena, their hearts couldn't help but tremble. Is this an artistic conception of creation? Half-incomplete sword intent. The rumor is true. Lin Xuan really used the half-incomplete sword intent. He's only at beginner level for a month. His comprehension ability is too terrifying. The deacons exclaimed in shock. They also didn't expect that Lin Xuan had really comprehended the half-incomplete sword intent and used it.